Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. Happy playoff season to you.
Yes, sir. Happy playoff season. Um, and for the most part, I will say life has been going. I had a little bit of a crazy week, not gonna lie. Busy with work and all that stuff. But aside from that, it's been going through good, I will say. Getting through in life, and yeah, obviously, first week of the playoffs. Haven't been able to watch as much as I would like due to um lifing and whatnot, but I've been watching a little bit, and I will say some series more entertaining than others, but overall it's definitely been an exciting time to say the least. How you doing, man?
Good, I guess. I came back to work this week. There was a lot of ups and downs. I'm definitely looking forward to the summer already. Just trying to hang in there, I guess. But other than that, I'm fine. Enjoying some of the games. We enjoyed watching the Lakers game. Well, we kind of enjoyed it last week. Yeah, we had good food. Your presence was nice. It's just the Lakers lost game one last week, which was
Man,
unfortunate. Which we will talk about very soon, because in this episode we are doing a playoff rundown, 1 week of basketball in the books, playoff basketball in the books, and we're gonna essentially cover every uh, round, every matchup, and go over our thoughts on what's been going on. But yeah, Hoops, what were you just gonna say right now before I kind of cut you off?
what was I gonna say? Was I actually saying something?
Yeah, it sounded like you were gonna say
Um,
something after I talked about the Lakers.
got it, got it. I was just gonna say, yeah, we had a great time hanging out that night, but the game was definitely disappointing to say the least. And we can talk more about that game and the rest of the series later, but yeah, overall, I say great time still, aside from the game result.
Yeah, hopefully we could go back soon, and hopefully I know
I hope so.
We went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and this week I wanted to go back again with my sister because they were doing a deal, where you get unlimited
Hmm.
wings bone in for like twenty
I
five
think I,
dollars.
I think I've heard of that. Isn't that like a Tuesday night promotion or something?
Yeah, that's
Like
kind of the reason why we
Wednesday?
ended up not going. 'Cause I don't know. I was tired or something.
Oh,
Or I get no. We were
understandable.
both very busy that day, but I would have loved to go because that's a pretty good deal. How many wings do you think you can eat in one sitting? We were talking about this. I said
Hmm.
maybe 20. She said 13 at the most.
Hmm. Your sister was so specific, 13.
Yeah.
Um, Shit. I mean, I would say this. It depends, like, how hungry I am. Let's say I'm starving. I did not eat the entire day. I could probably, like, man down, like, as much as can be in that situation. Obviously, not good for health or whatnot, but, hypothetically speaking, let's say I did not eat all day. I want to get my money's worth. I don't know about exact number, but I think I can do maybe 20 also or more maybe.
All right.
Possibly. Though I will say this, it also depends because like those wings, honestly, now that I think about it, a lot of those wings are not even that large. You could probably easily man like at least 5 of them in an instant. And then another thing is like in the past we have gotten like the 10 wings combo, I believe, right? Technically speaking, if you were to have 20, that's only a double of that, which I think it's really doable. So I see, I don't have a clear cut answer, but if I'm really starving, I guess sky's the limit.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I feel like sometimes when I'm like starving and excited to eat something, that's when I don't eat a lot for some reason. Like I get full fast. I don't know why, but I feel like that's the case sometimes. We should not only do
That
that one day,
happens.
but I don't think we've ever gone to a buffet together, and that would probably be really fun to do because I know that
Oh,
in a single
I don't
sitting
think
you
you've
could
ever
eat
been
a
to.
lot in like a single sitting, which is surprising since you're like pretty skinny.
Yeah. Growing up when I was younger, I was chubby for a little bit. And then I had a little bit of a period where I guess due to maybe more one reason than another, I just like got more well and fit. But yeah, we have not gone to a buffet yet, shockingly together, but that'll be fun to do one day.
One day
And
for sure.
I'm sure it will happen. It's only a matter of time and picking a good spot.
Yeah, I love the Asia buffet. I think you've said you've been there before, right?
Yeah,
Like I've been
that
wanting to
spot
go
that spot
back.
is good.
Yeah.
Asia buffet is good. They have a nice variety. They literally mix in like authentic Asian and then some Americanized Asian. And then they even have like American plates too. Like for example, they literally have like French fries, and then
Tiny pizza.
yeah, pizza. I forget what other American dishes per se, but like obviously the desserts, like they have the cakes, the cookies, and all that stuff. It's a pretty nice mix up, honestly. I know that the price has definitely gone up throughout the years due to like COVID, inflation, and whatnot, but it used to be like cheap. It used to be like maybe $11 per person. Now it's like
Really? That's
double.
what a deal that is. I know I had to
Yeah, I
pay
think.
once when our friend Alex and my two sisters went after we went to Universal. We all went to um, uh, Asian buffet, and that was like I want to say like $110 bill for the four of us,
Ooh,
something like that. Something like that. It's been a while since I've had to pay, but it's
yeah,
buffets are
actually,
kind of pricey.
yeah, they are for good reason because it's unlimited food. um, Not sure if you were aware, back in the day, and not too far in our area, there used to be another Asian buffet called Dragon Buffet. Do you remember that? Um,
No.
it's honestly not much different than Asian buffet. I can hardly remember what was the difference, but I think they closed probably like all the way back in like 2011, 2012 though, so that was a long time ago. I do remember though, good times at the buffets.
Yeah. I love a good buffet, but enough of my
Me too.
fat ass talking about food. We've got some basketball to actually talk about, and we've got a lot of basketball to talk about. We're gonna try to be
A
as
lot.
efficient as possible, but we're both like yappers at the same time, so please bear with us. But we're gonna go through each conference and each matchup and go over what's been working, what hasn't been working for a few teams, and at the very end as well, we have a few news that we're gonna cover as well in regards to awards. But to start things off, we're gonna go to the West Coast, the best coast, and this has definitely been the best coast, like for game wise. Like the best games are in the West for sure. We're gonna start off with kind of a snoozer though, Thunder versus Grizzlies, and I say kind of a snoozer because the first two games for this series were both blowouts. The first game being a 51, was it 51? Yeah, 51 point blowout by the Thunder, destroying the Grizzlies. This is the biggest blowout in Game 1 history. And this was all done with a horrible game by Shea. This is the first time in a long time where Shea didn't score more than 20 points, which is shocking since he averages 30. It was basically the beginning of the season where he scored less than 20 points. On October 31st, 2024, he had 18 points. But yeah, that was a huge blowout win by the Thunder. The game two was another blowout win. Better. It was better. It was what, like 20 point victory for the Thunder, something like that. Um,
Yeah, it was like a 20, 21 point game or something.
yeah, and I know that the big three for the Grizzlies stepped up on that one, which they didn't play well in game one, but they played better in game two and still lost by 20. And game three, we all thought the roles were finally reversed. I remember seeing the box score for that game and seeing how dominant the Grizzlies were and decided not to watch the game because I didn't want to watch a blowout. Hours later, the OKC Thunder ended up winning the game, and it was a drastic switch of it. The Grizzlies were winning by 29 points at one point, and the Thunder were able to turn it around in the second half. And probably the biggest reason why this was able to happen, well, two reasons. One, I guess three. Thunder locked in the second half, especially Caruso. Caruso played mad defense in the second half. But probably the biggest story, and might be the biggest reason why, is John Morant getting injured right before halftime due to this foul by Lou Dort, which everybody's saying it was a dirty play. Lou Dort slipped. It was an accident for sure, and not to blame Joff or anything, but there was no need for him to jump from as far as he did to try to go over Lou Dort for the basket either. I think he himself was being reckless, and then Lou Dort was just at the wrong position at the wrong time, essentially, and that ended up causing an injury for John Morant, who will be missing Game 4 and probably would have helped a lot in Game 3. He had 15 points in the first half. He was on pace for 30, so that could have definitely helped. But yeah, I just kind of glossed over these games very quickly. It's not the most exciting series, except for Game 3. Game 3, what a comeback from the Thunder. But any thoughts on these games from OKC and the Grizzlies?
Yeah, I will admit, I don't think I watched like a single second of this series. And it's not necessarily because I don't want to watch it. Part of it was because like I've been so busy with my life routine. Another part of it is also the fact that like every single time I look at the score, it's usually a blowout one way or the other. And at that point, it's like, what's the point in watching? Is kind of the philosophy. I mean, game one, it was literally a 51 point game. Game two, closer, but it was still a 21 point game. Game three, it was looking like it was going to be the other way around. It's like, what the hell happened to OKC? Before you know it, they came back and it turned into a good game, which is one I honestly wish I would have watched. But yeah, admittedly, I just haven't really got around to this series too much. But I think it's not that much of a shock that OKC is up 3-0. I mean, we all knew they were going to have a no sweat series. I predicted 4-0 sweep. Memo predicted 4-1. Point blank is we all knew that the Grizzlies would be lucky to even win one. And it looked like they were going to do that. But obviously, Jaw getting hurt was the major difference maker in that game. Still no excuse for them to blow a 29-point lead because that was a damn big lead they should have held on to, especially at home. But yeah, I think it's safe to say the Grizzlies are all but cooked at this point, even though they already were from the start. And I expect game 4 to be the end for them, honestly. 4-0 sweep.
Yeah, I feel like that Game 3 loss is very demoralizing. Losing that 29, right? Point lead.
29, yeah.
And I highly doubt that, like Triple J is gonna come through, right? Like he had a stinker in the first game. The first game was just awful. Like Marvin Bagley was the best player on the team during game 1, which is very embarrassing. I'm sure Desmond Bain will, try his best in game 4, but honestly, like, there's really no point. It's looking like a sweep, and yeah, just a unfortunate way to end off uh, the series. I'm sure both teams would have liked Ja Morant to be on the floor. I'm sure OKC would have loved to beat the Grizzlies healthy. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the Lou Dort foul? Did you think it was a dirty play like a lot of people are saying? I honestly think it was a accident. He did slip a little. Maybe you could say that he probably should have just like gone to the side or not try to foul at all. Try not to contest at all. But again, I felt like Ja was being very reckless, jumping from where he was, probably trying to go for a poster and just ended up hurting himself, which is my opinion, based off of what I was seeing. I don't think I know Lou Dort has, like a reputation. He's a very aggressive player, but in that instance, I don't think that was dirty. But what do you think? Do you have a different opinion on that?
Honestly, I agree with you. Like, I feel like he had no ill will on that play. Like, obviously, he was trying to foul Ja to prevent him from getting an easy basket. But I don't think he was trying to injure him on purpose, though. I feel like it was just wrong place at the wrong time, and then it ended up like being a lot more physical than I'm sure even he would have liked. Because at the end of the day, they were losing by a lot. So at that point, he got to do what he got to do to try to challenge the opponent as much as possible. And though maybe he got a little bit too aggressive there, I honestly don't think he did it on purpose. I think it was just bad luck, timing, all that. So I would say unfortunate, bad timing, but not a dirty play on Lou Dort.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Any more thoughts on this series, or should we move on to the next one?
I would say not any more thoughts because it's been, for the most part, a snooze fest aside from Game 3 comeback.
I'll say
So I think
the
we can move on to the next series.
which is
Go
definitely
ahead.
not a snooze fest. Rockets versus Warriors, one of my favorite series so far. I love how
Ah,
physical this series is. The Warriors don't. The Warriors do not like how physical this series is. But would you like
I
to
mean,
take charge right now with these two games?
I can do that. So I will start by saying I think it's great that these two are getting physical and
I love it.
banging heads into each other because if the Lakers advance, we play the winner of whoever wins this series. I think that the more banged up, not by injury, but like banged up in terms of like worn out bodies from playing a lot. I think the more banged up they are, better it is for the Lakers the next round. So have at it, guys, with the physicality, please. Anyways, yeah, I'll give my overview on this series. So starting with game one, the Rockets started out pretty strong and they were up most of the first quarter, leading by as much as 8. In the second quarter, they just absolutely collapsed and the Warriors took over, leading by 13 and a half. The main storyline of game one was how poorly the Rockets shot the ball, especially in the third. And the Warriors were able to go up by 23 at one point. Um, but the problem, but then at the end of the quarter, the Rockets were able to go on a run their own to pull us in four at one point. It unfortunately wasn't enough. And the main problem why the Rockets lost that game was because their 3-point shooting was horrible. They shot 6 for 29 from 3 on 21%. And two guys that they needed to step up were absolutely atrocious that game. Jalen Green only had 7 points on 20% shooting, 3 of 15 field goals. Fred VanVleet had 10 points on 21% shooting, 4 of 19 field goals. So those guys were horrendous. The only guy that showed up for the Rockets in game one was Alperen Sengun, who had 26 points on 11 of 18 field goals. And The only reason why the Rockets were in that game was because their defense was huge. Like the Rockets defense kept them in the game that they had no business being in due to how poorly they were shooting. Anyways, the fact that the Rockets were able to keep it close despite how horribly they shot was honestly encouraging to me if you think about it. And so that led to Warriors winning game 1 and now setting up for a crucial game 2. And the Rockets looked a lot better in game 2. Um, Matter of fact, they never trailed in the game. They went up by as much as 20, and they also shot way better from 3. Um, this time they shot a pretty decent 37.5% from 3. Um, Way better than that 29%. And then aside from that, um, huge bounce back game by Jalen Green. After that horrible shooting performance in game 1, this game he puts up 38, 4 and 6, and on 52% shooting. So much better. And then Şengün had a pretty solid game still, 17 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists. Dylan Brooks did pretty good. He had 16 points and on 50% shooting. Ari Easton had 14 points. Amen Thompson had 11 points. Fred VanVleet unfortunately had another horrible performance though. He increased his game 1 performance from 21% to 25%. Man. But fortunately it didn't matter because the Rockets were able to still handily find a way to win that game. For the Warriors, it was unfortunate because Jamie got hurt early on. He only played 7 minutes and 52 seconds before he got hurt. Anyways, Steph doing his thing per usual, 20 points, 4 of 9 3-point shooting. Moses Moody had 12 points. Quentin Post, in large part due to Jimmy Butler being hurt, got a lot more playing time. And he put up 12 points on 4 for 8 threes. And then 11 points from Jonathan Kuminga and Pat Spencer, who also got some minutes due to Jimmy's injury. So, yeah, it was a rough game for the Warriors. Oh, let me bring out another notable one. This game, Pods had a donut. 0 points, 0 for 5 shooting, 0 for 2 3-point attempts. Not good.
To be fair, though, he was sick that game.
Yeah.
It looked like
I
it
honestly
too.
forgot about that. Yeah, I honestly forgot about that, but yeah, nonetheless, didn't look good that game. And the Warriors had a not so good game too. But the fact that they were able to steal one on the road, they are at the moment in good position. They just gotta hope that Jimmy will be good to go. And I heard that his injury was like the best case scenario because it was like relatively minor, I believe. So heading into Golden State, series tied 1-1. It should be interesting.
Yeah, it's been interesting so far with how physical these games are. Due to the physicality, though, I think that is why Jimmy got injured. Nothing dirty, though. Unlike a lot of what the Warriors fans are saying right now, they are very delusional, talking about how Amen Thompson should be like locked up right now, even though it was not necessarily anybody's fault. It was like 3 guys, Steven Adams, Draymond Green, Amen Thompson, just bunched up together trying to go for it, a rebound. And, stuff happens. There was a lot of contact, some maybe pushing and shoving and tripping, and Amen Thompson ended up, what's the word? Like, kind of like diving towards Jimmy Butler because of all the contact going on. And that's how Jimmy got injured. So it was definitely not dirty at all. I think all these Warriors fans are very delusional and very ironic coming from them when they won 4 championships off of dirty plays and illegal screens led by Draymond Green
I agree.
and Zaza Pachulia injuring Kawhi Leonard in Game 1 years ago. Like, there's a huge history of dirty plays from the Warriors recent dynasty that, like, they really have no say. Like, they don't have any right to be talking how they're talking right now, because this was purely an accident, an unfortunate accident, but it was an accident at the end of the day. Even me, like, as a Draymond hater, I wouldn't even say it's Draymond's fault, even though that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying that Draymond pushed Amin Thompson, which I don't think so. Like, they were all just going for a rebound and being physical. But with that said, because of the Jimmy injury, that is definitely a big reason why the Rockets ended up winning, because the Warriors ended up looking like November Warriors when they just absolutely sucked, when they didn't have Jimmy Butler, when Steph had to carry by himself early on in the season and had no help. That's what the Warriors looked like out there without Jimmy Butler. So for their sake, I hope he comes back healthy. As he said, it's not super severe, but it's still not great to have your second option gone, because he is very important, not only offensively, which they need a lot of help with since Steph can't do it alone, but defensively as well. Jimmy Butler is a huge help there. But yeah, this was a fun game though to watch. Just seeing Jalen Green go off after a horrible game 1. He talked about how the lights were too bright in game 1, and he definitely was able to back up or bounce back from that horrible performance in a huge way, scoring those 38 points. And that's a player that I, for some reason, didn't even bring up last week as like an X factor or anything. He's like the biggest X factor in this series, because the Rockets don't have a closer, but ideally it should be Jalen Green, and he proved to be the closer in game 2, just going off, making sure that the Warriors did not have a chance to win this game. So shout out to Jalen Green for bouncing back, especially since like Alperen Sengun wasn't super efficient, but still had a good game. I believe he had like 15 and 15 or something like that, which is all right. But yeah, definitely a fun series to watch. Sucked that the Rockets did lose game 1. I'm definitely rooting for the Rockets here because I don't want the Warriors to win. But yeah, the Rockets shooting was horrible. I believe their 3-point percentage was almost half of the Warriors' 3-point percentage in game 1. But luckily, they were able to bounce back and come through with a fun game, a physical game. There was several technicals. Who was it? Tyrese threw a towel at Pat Spencer's face at one point and got a tech for that. That was pretty funny. But yeah, for the Warriors' sake, I hope Jimmy Butler comes back soon. I'm sure the Rockets would love to face a healthy Warriors team. Just to say that they didn't win the series due to injury. That's never fun. But yeah, it's definitely exciting. I believe their next game is tomorrow for us. So I can't wait to watch that.
Me too.
Yeah, I believe that's everything I got. Oh, I guess I should say this. Just speaking on Jalen Green, not only did he have 38 points, but he made 8 threes, which is tied for most in Rockets history in the postseason. And I'm sure you could. And also, first Rocket to make 30 points in the playoffs since, this one's easy. Who is it?
Hakeem Olajuwon.
No!
No way. Wait. No, I'm sorry. I think I had a little bit of a pause. James Harden.
There you go. I kind of just That was on me for throwing that on you out of nowhere. But yes, James Harden.
Yeah,
James Harden.
because for a second I had like a brain freeze, and then like, oh wait, you said 30 points. Okay, then that's easy. It's James Harden because they literally hadn't made the playoffs since James Harden until now.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's it from me. Anything else you want to cover, or should we finally talk about the Lakers and Timberwolves?
I would say we covered the Warriors Rockets series pretty good, so we are now able to move on to the Lakers Timberwolves series.
Yeah, this series is good too. If unless you're a Lakers fan, then right now you probably are stressing or angry. I was definitely very angry watching Game Three, and unfortunately, I watched the two games they ended up losing. I didn't watch Game Two,
Aw,
which which
man.
sucked. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this series so far? We know that is a 2-1 series. Timberwolves won the first game and third game. Lakers won the second. What do you think? What's going on here?
Yeah, so obviously game one, Lakers looked really great in the first quarter. Luka was cooking and the Lakers went up by 8. But then unfortunately everything just went downhill from there after the Lakers were cooking from 3 in the first. They just seemingly ran out of gas the rest of the game, and the Lakers couldn't buy a bucket for a while the Timberwolves were seemingly making like everything. And large part was big time guys stepping up for the Timberwolves. Jaden McDaniels had like a legacy game, 25 points, 85% shooting, 3 for 3 from 3-point range. That was crazy. 11 of 13 overall. And then Nas Reed added 23 points and added 22, Randall 16. And then for the Lakers, Luka being the clear-cut leader of the game, 37 points, Braun 19, AR 16. But unfortunately, no one else showed up. Luka was carrying all game long, but unfortunately, the Wolves shooting was just too hot and too much to handle. So that was a rough game for the Lakers and a great road win for the Timberwolves. So then came game two, and game two, Lakers had a strong bounce back to get the much needed win to tie the series at 1-1. Timberwolves had a brief 2-point lead early, but the Lakers were able to game control the rest of the way, going up by as much as 22 at one point. Luka had a near triple double, 31, 12, and 9. Broughton had put up 21, 11, 7. Austin 16, 5, 5. Rui also added 11, 5. 2 steals and a block. And for the Wolves, Randall put us 27, Ant put up 25. Unfortunately, no one else had hit double digit scoring. And it was horrible 3-point shooting for both teams. Wolves shot 20% from 3, Lakers shot 20.7% from 3. And this was the lowest point total for the Timberwolves all season. Lakers defense was great in game 2, and that was the reason why they were able to pull out the victory. So definitely was happy about that one. But unfortunately, game 3 was not the same. Now, that game was pretty close throughout for the most part until late when the Timberwolves were able to pull out. And we were actually watching, well, we were on VC earlier on towards the end of the game, and we were like talking our thoughts. And one of the main things we agreed on is that this game could have easily been way worse for the Lakers, or they could have been leading by a little bit. And to break that down, obviously Luka was feeling under the weather this game, not himself. Um, Struggled from the field, all that. The fact that the Lakers never even went down double digits all game until the very end was actually pretty impressive. Um, Early on in the first, Timberwolves went up by 8. The Lakers went on a run in the second to go up by 5 briefly. And at the half, they were up by 3, I believe. But then, unfortunately, in the third, Mid third to fourth quarter, the Timberwolves pretty much led to control like all the game. Like the game was close. Lakers were able to pull close here, there, tie a few times, but they were not able to take the lead past early third quarter. And yeah, it was definitely tough to watch towards the end. We'll say this though. LeBron looked amazing this game. He put up 38 points, 62% field goals, 5 for 9 from 3 in court, including a sequence in the fourth where he made 3 threes in a row. That was impressive. Austin put up 20 points. Luka, despite struggling, still was able to put up 17, 7 and 8. And then Rui put up 8 points. Dorian Finney-Smith put up 8 points. For the Timberwolves, it was another one of those Jaden McDaniel games. Jaden McDaniels put up 30 points. This performance didn't shoot the ball. Okay, he shot the ball good overall, but not from 3. He was only 1 for 5 from 3. It didn't matter because he still put up big 30 points. Ant put up 29, 8 and 2. 29, 8 and 8. Randall put up 22, 5 and 4. And then Naz Reid put up 11. Dante DiVincenzo put up 10. So overall, this game was pretty good and competitive throughout. Just unfortunately for us, the Lakers pretty much ran out of gas at the end. And the Timberwolves were able to pull out the Game 3 win at home to take the 2-1 lead, which sets us now up for a very crucial Game 4 in Minnesota that could potentially decide the fate of the series. If Timberwolves win that game and go 3-1, then they are looking in great shape. If the Lakers are able to tie it 2-2, then it will go back in their favor heading back to LA for Game 5. So, a very crucial game. I see it as a must-win for both teams, but especially the Lakers, because the Lakers, I think, need it more. But obviously for the Wolves, they would love to go up 3-1 as well. So, yeah. Overall, I would say this has been a good series, but unfortunately, one close game and then 2 slightly more blowout games.
Yeah, and obviously as us Lakers fans, it's not fun to watch our team lose like this. A big reason why we lost both of these games. As you mentioned, Jaden McDaniels went off, right? It was the role players who really stepped up for both of the wins for the Timberwolves. In the game that the Timberwolves lost, Jaden McDaniels fell back to earth. He only had 8 points. Naz Reid fell back to earth. He only had 9 points. Dante DiVincenzo had 4 points. Their role players weren't stepping up, and therefore they ended up losing. Not only that, but Luka played amazing in game 2 and in game 1. He was very dominant, looking like classic playoff Luka out there. Unfortunately, though, in game 1, LeBron didn't have the best game. He looked better in game 2 and amazing in game 3. Unfortunately, that performance was wasted due to the fact that the Lakers wouldn't stop turning over the ball. It was actually very ugly out there. And as we were talking about earlier, it seemed like the Lakers should have been losing by a lot more in like the third quarter because they just couldn't stop making stupid decisions and turning the ball over. Like everything that could go wrong was going wrong for the Lakers, and for some reason they were still in it. But like there was a point where LeBron was getting doubled in the paint, and instead of passing to a wide open Gabe Vincent, he decided to shoot over 2 defenders and miss. I think that was in the fourth quarter. In the third quarter, Luka was sizing up Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gobert somehow was able to strip the ball from Luka, and that led to a fast break opportunity. There was, just second chance points that uh, the Timberwolves were able to take advantage, and it wasn't like Rudy Gobert or Naz Reid or Julius Randle who got the offensive board and were able to make the bucket. It was fucking Dante DiVincenzo, the smallest guy on the court, getting the second chance points for the Lakers. So there was just a lot of uh, lazy turnovers. There was a lot of points uh, due to that. For the Timberwolves' favor, let's see. Believe Lakers had 19 turnovers, I believe, to the Timberwolves 10, and because of that, the Timberwolves ended up scoring 30 points off of those turnovers, and they also beat them in the fast break points as well, 21-11. So, actually, the Timberwolves didn't make 30 points due to turnovers. They had 30 more points due to turnovers. I believe it was like 50 something to 20 something. So that's a huge margin, and that's something that I'm sure JJ Redick is going to focus on. Just being able to handle the ball more carefully, stop being lazy, stop making these stupid decisions, especially for a veteran team like the Lakers. They need to do a lot better. They've been in the playoffs before. We have a 4-time champion. We have a guy that just went to the finals last year. We've got guys here that have played in these big moments. They just gotta act like they've been in these big moments. But yeah, shout out to the Timberwolves. Ant is looking great. I have to eat my words a little bit because Julius Randle has been looking great as well. I believe he was the leading scorer in Game 2. He only had 16 points in Game 1, but that was okay because they ended up winning. And then I believe tonight in Game 3 he had 22 points, something like that. He's also playmaking pretty well. I remember today he had a stupid pass that went directly to, I think, Vanderbilt or something like that. But he had also cross court passes to Ant for a three. He did well. Julius Randle has been actually pretty consistent for the Timberwolves these 3 games. So shout out to him. And I guess for the key for the Timberwolves is continue to score in the paint. That was definitely a big margin as well. They scored a lot in the paint. So, due to the fact that the Lakers don't have a real center, that's why Jaden McDaniels had a pretty good night. He kept going to the paint. So, I guess the Timberwolves could continue doing that. And as long as their role players step up, as long as at least one of them have a 20-point game alongside with Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards, it's looking like the Timberwolves could take it, which I hope doesn't happen because, this is my Lakers. I was rooting for them. I was hoping that they win it in 5. It's not going to happen anymore, but you know what? Lakers in 6. Please fix your mistakes, Lakers. Just stop turning over the ball. And hopefully Luka gets better so he can get back to playing like playoff Luka.
And I would agree that unfortunately, obviously, series is currently not in our favor, but I think that the fact that obviously we know Luka was not feeling well and yet they were still able to stay in it is really honestly a sign of encouragement. I think if Luka feels better next game and is no longer feeling like he did today, I think Lakers could be up for a strong bounce back game 4 to tie the series. That's obviously at least the hope. So honestly, I think that we should be fine. We gotta win game 4 though. If we don't win game 4 though, I will be a little bit worried. Again, obviously it's not impossible to come back. They have 2 home games and 1 road game, but definitely would not want to go down 3-1 if could be avoided. So, yeah, I see Sunday as a must-win really for both teams.
For sure.
Lakers in 6 still alive at the moment. Unfortunately, Lakers in 5 is dead though.
Yeah, so that's another one of my predictions that have been wrong so far. I thought the Thunder would no, the Grizzlies would win one, but that's most likely not gonna happen. And now Lakers in 5 is a bust for sure.
Yeah,
You know what's not a
but
bust?
I think yeah, what isn't a bust?
This next series, Nuggets versus Clippers. This has been a very exciting series. At least the first two games. The
Yeah,
latest game, not so much.
not so much.
But yeah, this has been a great series. Game one was an exciting overtime victory from the Nuggets, and you know I was saying this is the Russell Westbrook game. He did not shoot well, like at all, but he played some clutch minutes for the Nuggets. He was able to hit a clutch three to give the Nuggets the lead. This was in the fourth. He did have a weird possession when time was running out. He ended up like throwing the ball on James Harden's back and couldn't get a shot up. It was weird, but they were going into overtime, and in overtime, he Westbrook was bricking. Not gonna lie, like it got to the point where I was afraid that he's gonna lose the game for the Nuggets. But on the contrary, he was helping out. He was getting offensive rebounds like crazy, making sure that there was more second chance opportunities for the Denver Nuggets, and was able to pass out to players that could score the ball a little better than him. But yeah, there was several lead changes and several second chance points. But at the end, he ended up getting a steal that prevented the Clippers from getting one more shot for the win. And yeah, again, horrible shooting night for Russ, but he did come through when the Nuggets needed him the most and ended up winning the game for the Denver Nuggets in overtime. If that was the Westbrook game, game two was the Kawhi Leonard game. Just another exciting close matchup between these two teams, and Kawhi Leonard going off looking like Toronto Kawhi Leonard with 39 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. And yeah, this was a fun game. Very close, very chippy. These guys were kind of going at it. I don't know if you saw the play of Jamal Murray carrying Norman Powell at one point. That was a
I
crazy
saw.
play. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And then
this.
the anger from Norman Powell, Chris Dunn. That was funny.
Yeah, they were pissed. They were pissed, but it's to be expected in such a competitive series like this. Um, but yeah, this was a great game. Like, if you like offense, this was a good one towards the end, because it seemed like both teams wouldn't stop making buckets, basically until the end, where the Clippers were winning by 3. Denver had the ball. Christian Braun had a go-ahead bucket. He shot this 3 to tie the game and clunked it. It was an ugly miss. So that was game 2, and then game 3 was the first dud. This was not a good one because it was close in the first quarter, but then the Clippers ballooned the lead and basically never looked back. And yeah, it was a horrible shooting night for the Denver Nuggets. 26.9% from 3, 40.3% from the field. Jamal Murray and Jokic did well. Like, throughout this series, they've been like good. They've been fine for like their standards. I believe like Jokic is averaging almost like a 25-point triple double, something like that, which on paper for any other player that's great, but for Jokic that's like all right. Like, you kind of expect more from him. And Jamal Murray has been not terrible. He's not terrible out there, which is good. It's just the rest of the team that kind of needs to step up a little bit. While the Clippers are just so much more well-rounded. In Game 3, they had almost 4 players with 20 plus points. I think combined those four players, Norman Powell, Zubats, Kawhi Leonard, and who am I afraid? James Harden. I think combined those four scored 100 points. So just an impressive overall effort from this team. And it's looking like a Clippers victory. I know this. It's early to say that. It's just 2-1. But the fact that the Nuggets really had to fight hard in Game 1 and needed Westbrook to come through for the win. And then seeing how they lost in these last two games, it seems like the Clippers are here to dominate and continue being great. They just seem a lot more well-rounded in my opinion. They just have a lot of guys that can help out. They're a very deep team. Plus, they got the wall in the Intuit Dome with those horse hats. I don't know if you saw those. I'm sure that had an effect when the Nuggets visited. But yeah, what are your thoughts on these three games? I'm sure you're not happy seeing the results of the Clippers winning the series so far, but it's no lie that this is a fun series to watch. That's for sure, and it's also very impressive seeing what the Clippers have been able to do against the Nuggets and Jokic, who is the best player in the world. So, what's your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, so I will say, the two games in Denver were really entertaining for sure. Obviously, third game not as much. It was just a flat out blowout. Denver Nuggets did not show up. The Clippers were absolutely balling that game. First game, obviously, all we can know it was the Russ game. I saw a comment saying that we literally got the full Russ experience in terms of like, not
So
only did
true.
he make some great plays and great shots, he also had some down moments like the not getting a shot off the end of regulation and breaking those threes in overtime. Yeah. Nonetheless, when he had to step up, he stepped up. Obviously, forcing the out of bounds off Harden to steal the victory, huge. So yeah, that was a great game one for the Nuggets. Game two was honestly really entertaining as well, going down to the wire. Kawhi Leonard turning the clock back, as you mentioned, looking like Toronto Kawhi. Unfortunately, Denver was not able to pull out that one, but nonetheless, it was a very entertaining game. So that one was fun. Game three, unfortunately, was not very entertaining. It was, as mentioned, Nuggets started the game good, went up by as much as 7 in the first, but from there it was all Clippers, and they won by an easy 34-point win. And also, we mentioned about the Clippers' home court advantage. The wall was crazy. The Clippers' atmosphere was also crazy. It's honestly it's honestly sickening to me how the Lakers fan base at the playoff games is so weak and the Clippers is that much louder and stronger. Like, what are we doing, bro? Come on. And I get it, like, Lakers tickets are more expensive. It's mostly the rich ones that go sit in the crowd, you name it. Like, there's no excuse for the Clippers fan base to be that much stronger. Like, come on now. Lakers are clearly the way more popular and better LA team. And yet, that type of display difference is shown. It's definitely embarrassing to say the least. But yeah, so far this series has been entertaining aside from game three. I hope it can be closer again in game four. Unfortunately, I kind of have to agree with you that the Clippers are looking like the better team right now. I think that game two loss was really huge for Denver because now they are in a very big pressuresome game four situation. They need to win that game for sure. Granted, they did come back from down 3-1 against the Clippers in 2020, so never say never. It's not impossible. I feel like this time around it's going to be a lot harder to do. So hopefully they can just tie it 2-2 and have a better chance at winning the series then. But right now it's looking like the Clippers are the stronger, deeper, and more well-run team. So we will see what happens going forward.
Yeah, and seeing how well Kawhi's been is making me realize how smart of a decision the Clippers were for extending his contract and not Paul George and just letting him go. Seeing how horrible Paul George
Easily.
was this season and seeing that even though Kawhi was injured most of the year, he's so far coming through. And I'm happy to see this for Kawhi. Like I know he's a Clipper, but I love Kawhi. Kawhi is one of my favorite players in the league when healthy. I remember when he was a Spur, he was definitely by far my favorite small forward in the league. And I just love rooting for this guy. A California dude as well. Just happy to see him thrive, even if it's for the Clippers. But I think that's enough talk about the West Coast. We still have another coast to talk about, the East Coast, the least coast. But these games, not gonna lie, have been a little bit more on the boring side. So maybe we could run through a few of these matchups in a quicker fashion, starting with Cavs versus Heat. This not a lot of notes, right? Because the Cavs have a 2-0 lead over the Heat. In game one, the Cavs and the Heat had somewhat of a battle in the first quarter, but then the Cavs took care of business throughout the three quarters. Donovan Mitchell had 30 points, Garland had 27, and Ty Jerome off the bench, finalist for Sixth Man of the Year, didn't end up winning, but he had a great game off the bench, had 28 points himself, and he had 28 out of the 34 bench points for the Cavs, which were very important, right? Because the Heat barely had any bench points. They in total had 33 bench points. The Ty Jerome almost had the same amount of bench points by himself. But yeah, there's a reason why he was a finalist for Sixth Man of the Year. So shout out to him. Great performance from basically the Cavalier guards there. And then in game two, this was interesting, kind of like the same scenario where it was close in the first quarter. The Cavs ballooned the lead for most of the game, and then in the fourth quarter, the Heat were actually like kind of coming back, but that's when Donovan Mitchell came through and had 17 of his 30 points in the fourth quarter, proving once again that he is the leader of the team. I know there was actual debates throughout the season that maybe it's Garland's team now, maybe it's Evan Mobley's team, but no, when they needed a bucket, Donovan Mitchell came through and helped win the game. And not only was he big, but the game plan for this team for this game was big as well, because Darius Garland after the game talked about their strategy, and their strategy was to just target Tyler Hero the whole time. Tyler Hero has been great offensively, but defensively, he's a cone out there. So they were targeting specifically Hero, and were able to get these 2 wins because of his defensive liabilities. So again, nothing too interesting because it's just 2 games so far, and the Cavs have won both of them in an impressive fashion. But any thoughts on this series so far?
I will say that so far this series, the result not shocking. Though I will say that the Heat have been pretty competitive for the most part. So I gotta tip my hat to them for sure. I mean, like, game one, they were able to hang for a good while before the Cavs were ultimately able to pull away late and get the 21-point win. But obviously, despite winning by 21, I feel like it was really closer than that for a long time. And for the Heat, Bam came up pretty big that game with 24. Tyler Hero did great, 21. Davion Mitchell 18, Wiggins 14, and they were able to stay within the game. But at the end, unfortunately, it was not enough. Cavs were able to pull forward. Game two, the Heat actually started the game really strong. They went up by 9 and led for most of the first. But then the Cavs, with their historical second quarter performance, going up by as much as 19, in large part due to their red hot 3-point shooting. NBA record 11 3-pointers in the second quarter, and 22 for the game overall. Evan Mobley had 20, Darius Garland had 19. Even despite the hot shooting, the Heat were able to keep the game close and competitive. And they pulled the game to within 2 with 3:11 remaining. That's when they ran out of fuel. Cavs were able to hang on and get the 9-point win. So, overall, I would say it has been a lot more competitive than I expected, despite certain scores maybe not looking like they were as close. Going into Miami should be interesting. Still expect the Cavs to win, but I think Miami could maybe take one at home, but I would not be shocked if it was a 4-0 sweep either, honestly. But one thing I do expect is that it will be competitive games.
Oh yeah, I was definitely predicting for one win for the Heat, and I'd say with you, I could see that happening in Miami, but I could also see a sweep. Just seeing how the Cavs, I guess not dominate. I don't think that's the right word, but they had a great game plan going into this game, and it impressive what they're doing. But again, Spoelstra is a great coach. He's probably gonna switch things up when they go to Miami. So I guess we'll wait and see if he can pull off a victory. But at the moment, yeah, the Cavs are looking dominant.
Through that. And so I think we probably are good to move on to the second Eastern Conference series.
Yeah.
And that would be between the Celtics and the Magic. So game one, Celtics started off the game strong, but then the Magic stormed back from down 12, and they actually took a 1-point lead at halftime. But that's when in the second half, the Celtics were able to pull away, and they got themselves a 17-point win. For the Magic, Paulo carried hard, 36 points. Franz added 23 points. So unfortunately, no one else showed up for Orlando. For the Celtics, relatively down games by Tatum and Brown, actually. Tatum only had 17, Brown only had 16. And so they kind of got carried by the two boys that were able to score 40 points each earlier this year in a game. Derek White, 30 points. Payton Pritchard, 19 points. And the Celtics were able to get the huge Game 1 win. So then came Game 2. Jason Tatum did not play this game due to injury, and the Celtics were still able to control from start to finish. So the Magic took a brief 1-point lead in the first quarter, but then they never led again the rest of the game. And Celtics led by as much as 15 points and held on to cruise to a 2-0 lead. Without Tatum, Jalen Brown was able to embrace the role, 36, 10, 5, and on steal, 12 and 19 field goals and 63.2% shooting. Porzingis put up 20 points, 10 rebounds. Derek White put up 17, and Pritchard put up 14. Holiday put up 11. For the Magic, Paulo was great again, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. He shot 48% from the field on 12 or 25 field goals. Franz had 25 points. Wendell Carter Jr. had 16 points, 8 rebounds. Anthony Black had 11 points. As a Celtics hater, this was a really disappointing game in the fact that the Magic were not able to take advantage of a game without Jason Tatum playing. Yeah. And so then they now see themselves down 2-0 heading into Game 3 in Orlando. And I will say, they shocked me in Game 3. I thought that the Celtics were on their way to cruising to a 3-0 lead, and it looked like that for a little bit. The Celtics started the game strong. They jumped out to an early lead. Then the Magic, they were able to regain the lead in the early second, going up by 6. Ultimately, in the third quarter, Magic led by 11 early on. Celtics led by 11 early on. But then the Magic had a strong takeover in the third quarter. Um, they outscored the Celtics 24-11, and they ended up having a. They found a way to, at one point, go up by as much as 12 in the fourth quarter. And then the Celtics stormed back. They tied the game with just a few minutes remaining before Magic were able to clutch up at the end, prevail, and get the huge Game 3 win to pretty much keep their season alive, if you think about it. Because if they were down 3-0, that would practically be the nail in the coffin. The fact that they were able to win this game, even if it ends up being their only win in the series, at least for now, they are looking well and alive. So, huge win for the Magic, getting the 2-point win, 95-93. And they will look to try to win Game 4 and tie the series on, I believe, Sunday. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's Sunday. But yeah, huge win for the Magic, and currently Celtics lead 2-1.
Yeah, this was definitely very shocking for me because I predicted that this was going to be a sweep. And I guess good news, it's not going to be a sweep because, fuck Boston. But, they're still going to win this series. You could, just based off the first 2 games, we kind of predicted why the Magic had no chances. And it's because of the lack of offense, right? Apollo and Franz are phenomenal. They've been great these last 3 games, but it's the lack of scoring from the other players that is causing so much trouble for them, especially in Game 1 and Game 2. Like, just have no other offense besides Paulo and Franz. That kind of changed in Game 3 in a way. But it's definitely due to, the turnovers that kind of lost the game for the Celtics. There was a huge difference in turnovers. The Celtics had 21, while the Magic had 14. And because of those turnovers, the Magic were able to take advantage. It had 26 points off of those, while Celtics only had 8 points off of the Magic turnovers. So they were able to take advantage of that game. Weirdly enough, with Jason Tatum's best game being on Game 3, with Game 1 being a classic Jason Tatum playoff performance with that poor shooting night. And then, surprisingly, he didn't play Game 2. He never misses playoff games. So, that, bone bruise on his right wrist was the reason why he wasn't needed in Game 2. But yeah, not a lot of notes. Just, a big reason why the Celtics are winning is due to the fact that the Magic don't really have the offensive power to handle the Celtics at the moment. And the Celtics in Game 3, the reason why they lost is due to turnovers and just kind of mid performances from the team. Again, Tatum had a great game. What did he have? 36 or something like that. The second best score was Jalen Brown with only 19, which is good, but that's a former Finals MVP we're talking about. It should be a little bit more. So, not surprised that the Celtics are winning. I'm more surprised that the Magic won 1 game. But yeah, this is definitely a series that it's looking one-sided. It's looking like a series to win, most likely. So, don't really have much else to say. Would you like to jump into the next series, Knicks versus Pistons?
Yes, I think
Actually,
we are set to jump
one more note.
ahead.
One more note. Uh, Seeing Kristaps Porzingis getting elbowed on the head and then started bleeding and getting that giant bandage was kind of badass. Seeing him like all bloody and with a smile on his face. So that was a cool look for Porzingis. I do like Porzingis, so um,
Me too.
it's too bad that he got
Yeah,
elbowed by Goga, but he looked cool. He looked really cool.
yeah. I mean, it was like a kind of like a superhero scene. I mean, obviously the band-aid makes it look more like a super villain than a superhero, but maybe like a Jason Voorhees type vibe, maybe a little bit. But yeah, that was really cool though. Got elbowed, still ended up having a great game. Um, yep, I do like Porzingis as well, so that was badass to see.
Yeah, he ended up getting
Even though he is still.
5 stitches, and they were saying that Porzingis had more stitches than KCP had points that game.
Man, KCP has not had a good series, I
Not
don't
at all.
think.
No, he's been disappointing for
Yeah.
them.
I think he's been disappointing like all season long, matter of fact. Like he that signing for Orlando that looked like potentially being a big signing was potentially like a bust signing. Matter of fact, he put up a donut this game, I believe. Actually, no, he got 2 free throws, but he didn't make a single real field goal though. So yeah, KCP has been disappointing. But yeah, I think we are now good to move on to another series and a much better series, being the Knicks and the Pistons. So I guess I can start things off for this one. Game one, Knicks led for most of the first half with a few lead changes, but the Pistons went up by 9 late in the third. They were looking good, but unfortunately did not show up in the fourth. Knicks went on a 21-0 run in the fourth, which lasted for a time span of 4.5 minutes. Knicks were able to pull away for the game one win, in large part due to that run. For the Pistons, Tobias put up 25, Cade put up 21, Malik Beasley put up 20, Tim Hardaway Jr. put up 19, Asar Thompson put up 10. For the Knicks, Jalen Brunson led all with 34 points, Cat had 23 points, 11 rebounds, OG had 23 points, Cameron Payne had 14 points, and Josh Hart had 13 points. So, due to the great balance in scoring and contributors everywhere, the Knicks were able to find a way to win game one. And so then came game two, once again in New York. After just a brief 3 point lead early in the first for the Knicks, the Pistons were able to gain control of this game for the final 3.5 quarters. Cade Cunningham, this after having a quiet game one performance, had a great comeback, bounce back performance in game two. He had 33, 12, 3, and 2 steals. Dennis Schroeder put up 20 points, Tobias put up 15 points, and Jalen Duren put up 12 points. For the Knicks, Jalen Brunson had 37 points, Mikal Bridges had 19 points, Cat, Cat, Hart, and OG all had 10 points. And in this game, Pistons pretty much led like most of the time, led by as much as 15 at the third. Knicks made a run in the fourth and tied the game at 94 with 115 remaining. Then came a huge three by Dennis Schroeder to help the Pistons regain the lead, and the Knicks just came out empty on their remaining 4 possessions. Brunson missed 3 threes, Bridges missed a three, Knicks had the foul, and the Pistons ended up winning the game 100-94 for the huge Game 2 win to tie the series at 1 game apiece. So then came Game 3 in Detroit now. This game was primarily dominated by the Knicks. They led for most of the game. Pistons had a brief 4 point lead in the second quarter, but after that, Knicks did not trail again. Going up by as much as 14, Pistons ended up pulling it close several times, but at the end, Knicks were too much to handle, and that was in large part due to Cat and Jalen Brunson, really mainly, but Cat put up 31, 31, 8 and 1. Brunson put up 37 and 9, and then OG put up 22. Mikal Bridges put up 20. So those guys were huge. For the Pistons, honestly, not bad can overall scoring balance either. Cade and Tim Hardaway had 24 each. Dennis put up 18, another big performance for him, the playoff veteran. Shout out Dennis. Jalen Duren 16 points, and Malik Beasley 12. So ultimately speaking, at the end of the day, it was a pretty dominant Knicks win, and it was largely due to the two main guys, Cat and Jalen Brunson, taking over. So currently sitting at 2-1 Knicks. Game 4 is scheduled for Sunday. So this should be interesting coming of what's to come.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, game one was very exciting alone. That was pretty close for the most part. Even with Cade having a kind of like a rough game, it was the veterans coming through. Tobias Harris had 22 points in the first half. Malik Beasley had 12 points, all from 3-pointers. Like, they did pretty well, but then, the Knicks ended up exploding. They went on a 21-0 run, and Cameron Payne, of all people, was cooking them for some reason. He had 11 of his 14 points in the fourth quarter there. So that's why the Knicks ended up winning there. But, I guess the Brides were too light in game one, but game two, back in the Garden, Cade Cunningham came through with those 33 points, as you mentioned. And then Dennis Schroeder, who I talked about last week, saying that he was going to be a key piece because he was like the only guy that can make his own shot, was able to contribute well off the bench with 20 points. And that is where the Pistons definitely are better at compared to the Knicks, is the bench depth. We know that Tom Thibodeau is not known for utilizing his bench. He always gives his starters a lot of minutes. In this game, it didn't end up working because Cat only had 10 points. There were several guys with 10 points in pretty mid games. Brunson was amazing, 37 points for him. Bridges had those 19 points, but everybody else was pretty mid. So sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it does work. In game 3, Cat bounced back. He had 31 points, as he said. I believe Cat, OG, Mikal Bridges, and Brunson all combined for 104 points. So no wonder Tom Thibodeau trusts those guys so much, because those 4 guys alone scored 104 of the points and ended up winning this game. The bench was better for the Pistons in this one, but the overall performances weren't good enough from the entire roster for the Pistons. So I was kind of surprised with how close this game was, to be honest with you, just seeing how dominant the starters were for the Knicks. But it does make sense that the Knicks did end up winning this one. So definitely a very exciting game. Another physical matchup between these two. There was it? I think game 3 there was a skirmish, and Isaiah Stewart was out for that game. He was in street clothes, so he couldn't join in, and he looked very sad, not being able to fight anybody because he was in his street clothes. But looking like a really fun series. Knicks, of course, in the lead, and still my favorites for winning this series for sure. I believe you had the Knicks as well. I'm sure your mind hasn't changed, or has it?
Definitely not. I also still have the Knicks winning. I believe our prediction of Knicks winning was the same. It's just the number of games. I think I predicted Knicks in 6 and you predicted Knicks in 7. So I think point blank is we both expect the Knicks to win. We do expect it to be competitive as it has been.
Yeah, so I think that's it from me. Should we cover the last matchup?
Yes, I think it is time to cover the last matchup, being Pacers versus Bucks.
This one,
So
we actually
game
had
one,
different thoughts on this one. You thought the Pacers were going to win this series, and I thought the Bucks were. And so far, you're looking like, it's looking like your prediction might be correct. But yeah, would you like to continue going over? I kind of cut you off
yeah,
there.
good. So game one, Bucks led the game early with a 3-point lead in the first, but that's when the Pacers ended up taking control from there. Pacers never trailed past the early first quarter, and they went up by as much as 28 points. Well balanced scoring. Siakam had 25, Miles Turner had 19, Andrew Nembhard had 17, Benedict Mathurin had 13, and TJ McConnell had 11. However, unfortunately, Tyrese Haliburton did not show up. He only had 10 points on 3 of 13 shooting on 23%, which was quite disappointing performance, but unfortunately it didn't matter because the Pacers just no, not unfortunately, but fortunately it didn't matter because the Pacers supporting cast came up strong this game. And that led Indiana to the 1-0 series lead. Hard carry job attempt by Giannis, putting up 36 points, 12 rebounds. The rest of the Bucks team unfortunately did not give him any help. Dame was out. But the good news was that he was able to finally return in game two.
Let's not forget
And
this
so,
one thing, though. Not only did Giannis not have any help, but Kuzma with the classic Tony Snell game, zero from top of the stat sheet to the bottom. 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 field goals made, 0 free throws, zero everything, which is very disappointing to see, especially seeing that like the Bucks traded Chris Middleton, who was playing like Kobe Bryant last year in the playoffs, for this guy. That's sad.
yeah, that was a dumb trade. Chris Middleton clears Kyle Kuzma any day of the week, no matter what season. And you know what was funny? I saw that after Kuz put up that donut performance, Prize Picks literally had like a special like I guess promo if you want to call it, where if Kuz even records a single stat, it's an automatic win for the user. So that was hilarious. They literally honored him to at least do something after a damn cardio donut performance in game one. Anyways, game two was more of the same. Pacers put up another strong performance. They went up by as much as 16 and never even trailed in the entire game. Once again, well balanced scoring for Indiana. Siakam 24, Tyrese much better this game 21, Andrew Nembhard has 17, Aaron Nesmith has 16, Miles Turner had 15, Benedict Mathurin had 14. And for the Bucks, once again, Giannis carrying the team on his back. Another great performance. 34, 18, and 7. Bobby Portis also pretty much put up a legacy game this game. 28 points, 12 rebounds, 6 of 11 shooting, 55% overall from the field. Dame struggled in his return, only shooting 4 of 13 from the field, but he was still able to put up 14 points, so that was honestly not horrible. Kuz did happen to do quite a bit better in game two, which is good. He put up 12 points on 50% shooting. Bucks Bucks had another tough loss, but they really need to win the next two home games to have a chance. And that they did in game three. Um so in this game, early on, it was kind of back and forth. The Bucks and Pacers are like switching leads a bunch in the first quarter. Matter of fact, Pacers actually ended this half strong and they went up by as much as 12 at one point, and it was looking like, ah, shit, is Indiana going to go on a 3-0 lead and blow the series open? Not so fast. Third quarter, Milwaukee went on a clinic. They ended up going up double digits heading into the fourth, and in the fourth, they absolutely dominated. They went up by as much as 22 at one point, and at the end, they were able to easily cruise for the 16-point win, much needed, to pull to within 2-1. In this game, the crazy headline is Giannis and Gary Trent Jr. each putting up 37 points, which I believe is the first time that a pair of teammates have done that in the playoffs. Pretty cool there.
Well, for the
For the
Bucks
Bucks.
specifically.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I am. Though I will admit, like, I wouldn't have been shocked if it was for like in general, but I guess for the Bucks in itself, it makes sense. Um, so yeah, 37 points each for those two. AJ Green put up 12. Bobby Portis put up 10. Kuz put up 9. Dame was another quiet performance. He only shot 2 of 12 from the field, which is a whopping 16.7%, and only put up 7 points. However, good thing for him, it didn't matter. The Bucks had a great game, and they were able to find a way to win, even with his performance. And I would definitely cut Dame the slack, knowing that he literally came back from a blood clot condition. So I think over time he will do better. Anyways, huge win for the Bucks to keep their season alive, and they look to tie this series on Sunday. Yep, Sunday. So yeah, now it is 2-1.
Yeah, that was definitely a very important win for the Bucks. Because it looked like, seeing how well the Pacers were playing in the first two games, um, I it was easy to lose hope with the Bucks, seeing how they just can't keep up with the pace. The Pacers play so fast, and they are just such a well-rounded team as well. Tyrese Haliburton is not an overrated player. I'll say that. He was voted the most overrated player in the league. Those players are hating because this man knows how to come through. Yeah, maybe he'll have some stinker games shooting wise, but he'll get his other teammates involved, and that is why there are games where like all the Pacers starters are playing great. All have like 15 plus points. It's a big part of that is just Tyrese looking for the right plays, looking for the right shots, making the right passes. He is a smart player, and he is the leader of the Pacers for a reason. Speaking of leader of the Pacers, Pascal Siakam has been killing it on both ends of the floor for the Pacers. What a trade for the Pacers. Like, he showed up last year, was a big reason why the Pacers were able to go as far as they did last year, and he's doing it once again in this series. Honestly, one of the most underrated players in the league. If I'll say I've been underrating him for sure. I thought he's always just like a decent second option, but he's like one of the best second options, honestly. The way that he can come through for a team on both ends. Siakam's been great. And yeah, so the first two games, just the Pacers are a lot more well-rounded. They're faster. They're younger. They are more hungry, so they were able to come through. But Doc Rivers made a great coaching decision. What? What in the world? In Game 3, he switched out Taurean Prince for Gary Trent Jr. Junior? Is he a junior? Am I wrong?
Yeah, junior.
Okay, yeah. And that ended up being a great decision because he had 37 points starting today, and Taurean Prince wasn't really doing much in the first two games. So not only was that a great decision, but giving Bobby Portis more minutes, definitely over Brooke, who's kind of struggling with this pace. He's a slower guy, so with more minutes for Bobby Portis, they were able to get some help, especially in Game 2, which ended up being a loss. But yeah, they need his offense like desperately. With Kuzma having these zero donut games and Dame still looking rusty. They need all the offense they could get. So having a good Portis game, a good Gary Trent Jr. game is very important. But of course, I need to mention how great Giannis has been playing in these last 3 games. You know, he had a 36 point, 12 rebound, 2 block game in game 1, 34 points, 18 rebounds, 70% from the field in game 2, and then in game 3, 37 points, 12 rebounds, 74 from the field. Just looking like one of the best players in the world, honestly. He's an MVP caliber player for a reason. Like, with these performances, like, it's shocking that he doesn't have more MVPs and more titles under his belt. But yeah, luckily the Bucks were able to win this one. I assumed that, or I predicted that the Bucks were gonna win only because it's hard to bet against Giannis, and you can see why. Giannis is doing amazing. It's just the rest of the team isn't doing so good. So it seems like you're most likely going to be right with this prediction, but there's still time, I guess. And as you mentioned, game 4 is going to be a very important game for the Bucks. So crossing our fingers, because we're both Bucks fans. We both love Giannis, so hoping for the best. But honestly, like, the Pacers are so impressive. Even like during the regular season, I mentioned that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers were able to beat the Bucks if they met up in the playoffs, and that might be the case.
Through that, and I will say this: if the Bucks are able to repeat this type of performance game 4 to tie the series, then things will get really interesting going back to Indiana, because it just takes one, as the saying goes. One road win, and you could potentially win it. If you don't lose your home games, that is. So, yes, even though I did pick the Pacers, you picked the Bucks, as an NBA fan, I am rooting for Milwaukee. So, hopefully the Bucks are able to play more like today. And, crazy to say, but shout out to Doc Rivers for making a major adjustment that was actually good and not bad.
And he, like, never makes adjustments either. That's like his thing. That's why he sucks so much. But it ended up working. Too bad for Darvin Ham. His guy is not playing as much anymore. But this was a good move from Rivers. So shout out to him, I guess.
Shout out to him indeed, and it was a great move. That being said, I think we have now covered all of the playoff games so far, dating up to Friday night. And so we do have a little small bit of news before we finish this episode, being the fact that a few of the NBA awards winners have been revealed after we just made our predictions 2 weeks ago. Or 3 weeks ago, whichever one it was. I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
man, time
probably.
flies. Because we did play-in preview last week, overview and predictions last week. We did the game show 2 weeks ago, and our predictions were 3 weeks ago. So yeah, time flies. Anyways,
it's looking like our predictions are, like, pretty spot on. There's been
on par.
Yeah, there's been 3 awards announced this week. The first one being Sixth Man of the Year. And Payton Pritchard ended up winning this one, which we both predicted. And well-deserved. He averaged 14.3 points, 3.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 47.2% from 3. Had a 44-point game earlier this year off the bench. And he scored 255 threes this season, I believe, off the bench. I don't remember if it was off the bench or just in total, but he only started 1 game, I believe. So I'm sure the majority of his threes are definitely off the bench. So shout out to him. I believe the finalists were Ty Jerome, Malik Beasley, and Payton Pritchard, and I believe they chose the right guy here. Do you want to talk about each one individually, or should I go over all the winners and we and then I'll have you go. What would you prefer?
Um, I guess we can talk about. I guess we can talk about individually, like quickly.
Okay.
So, Payton Pritchard, I think that easily was the right candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. I believe, didn't we both pick him to win Sixth Man of the Year? So
Yeah.
we absolutely nailed it. I will say Ty Jerome was really great this season. Easily would have been the second choice. But at the end of the day, like what Peyton Pritchard did was like crazy good. Obviously, 47.2% from three, damn near 50%. Impressive. 255 on the season. Not to mention that one game when him and Derek White were the first teammates in was it in the entire NBA history or just
No.
Celtics? I think it was entire
Celtics.
NBA, right?
Celtic
Oh,
history.
Celtics, yeah. 40 points for two teammates. That was crazy. And yeah, he's just been like one of the key pieces for a really good Celtics team. Without him, Celtics would still be good, but they would not be where they are today, clearly.
Yeah, I
So
think.
yeah, I think Tate Pritchard easily was the right guy to win this award.
Yeah, I think funny enough, that's kind of a big argument on why people believe it should have been like Ty Jerome or Malik Beasley because they're a bit more important for their team success. But
I
I,
think so.
honestly, for me, I think it's good that Peyton Pritchard was on the bench for most of the games for basically like 81 of these games or whatever amount he played. Like he's only started one game, while Malik Beasley did start like a quarter of the games for the Pistons. And I don't know about Ty Jerome, but yeah, those two might be a bit more important, but I'm just happy I got the prediction correct for this one. And we also got
Yeah.
this next one correct as well, with Jalen Brunson winning Clutch Player of the Year. He averaged 5.6 clutch points. He made 52 field goals in the clutch time, which led the league. 156 total points in clutch time, which is second in the league. He was shooting 51.5% during clutch time and 84 from the line, and had 28 total assists during clutch time, which is third in the league, and had a 17-11 record, had 28, not 28, my bad, but had a 17-11 record in clutch games. So definitely well deserved. The finalists were Jalen Brunson, Nikola Jokic, and Anthony Edwards, and I think they picked the right guy, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that like Jalen Brunson was a little bit of a close call due to like injury. Like if he had just missed a few more games, then he probably wouldn't qualify. Fortunately, he did qualify, and clear cut, he was easily the right guy to win this award. Now, I believe wasn't Steph like the runner up or something like that. So he was really good, but clearly Jalen Brunson was the clear-cut best clutch player this year. The number of clutch games, for example, that the Knicks were involved in, and the fact that he was able to make several go-ahead baskets or game-winning baskets was just so impressive. Like this was easy. It was easily Jalen Brunson's win. So yeah, shout out Jalen Brunson and
Yeah, I was
great job for
actually
him.
sorry. I was actually surprised Trae Young wasn't a finalist. I would have thought he would have been a finalist over Anthony Edwards.
Oh yeah, definitely a little bit shocking there. But
Um,
yeah, Jalen Brunson, well deserved.
well deserved. And speaking of well deserved, last one, Evan Mobley winning Defensive Player of the Year. I'm very happy about this one. The stats aren't crazy. I'll say that 1.6 blocks, almost a steal a game, 9.3 rebounds, about 7 defensive rebounds per game. So it's not crazy. It's not Wemby 4 blocks a game or not even like Dyson Daniels 3 steals a game and leading the league by a large margin with total steals in a season. It's nothing fancy, nothing fancy. But the reason why he ended up winning is because of the things that is not shown in the box score. It's because of how versatile of a defender this man is. He's a big man. He's a power forward that can guard 1 through 5. He can hold his own guarding guards, and that is very important in this league. With all these switches and stuff, like we see all the time, Rudy Gobert, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, get cooked by guards all the time, because that's not what he's known for. He's known for his shot blocking abilities. Mobley is different in that way. Not only can Mobley block when needed to, but he could defend any player at any given moment. So shout out to him. The finalists were Dyson Daniels, who I was definitely rooting for as well. Someone I wasn't rooting for, though, Draymond Green, who was the 3rd finalist and who was begging, did a whole media tour over wanting to be Defensive Player of the Year and ended up losing. He did win Hustle Player of the Year. Don't know how. But that award is so irrelevant. Like, nobody talks about it. So, you could have your
know that was an award.
yeah.
Honestly,
You could have your participation trophy, Draymond, and we'll give Evan Mobley Defensive Player of the Year.
yeah, the fact that he was like begging to win that award is actually quite laughable, especially knowing the type of guy he is, veteran, been in the league for 13 years now. Like, come on, man, why are you begging for an award? Like, don't do that. Anyways, very well deserved win by Evan Mobley for Defensive Player of the Year. As mentioned, he was so impressive this year. One of the main reasons why the Cavs are able to get the 1 seed in the East, 1.6 blocks, as you mentioned, almost a steal a game, 9.3 rebounds, 7 defensive, and very versatile defender. And not just that, obviously the award is Defensive Player of the Year, but his offense ain't too shabby either. So overall, just a underrated young center, big in the league. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Evan Mobley. So shout out to him for winning this award. I am definitely happy for him.
Yeah, I'm very happy. But that's it. This was a long one, but it was expected since this was the first week of the playoffs. From here on out, I'm sure the episodes are going to get shorter due to series like ending early. We'll see if the Celtics can end it this week. Who else might be able to end it this week?
OKC,
OKC.
They might end it tomorrow, maybe, or is if the game is tomorrow.
I forgot, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so well,
OKC will probably be the fastest one.
yeah, probably, especially with no Ja,
Yeah,
that's probably gonna be the fastest. So yeah, we got a chunky episode for today, but a good one. I think this was a good rundown on the playoffs, and I'm very
I
proud of
agree.
our coverage for today. So I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on the video. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment as well. That'd be great. Subscribe even. That would be wonderful. If you're on audio platforms, leave a 5-star rating and review. Check us out on socials. I usually do like last year I did TikToks on just covering like when a series ends and go over like my thoughts and how like the team that won the series, how they were able to win it. So I'm sure I'm gonna be doing a few of those this week. We'll see. But yeah, Hoops, would you like to say anything before we end things here?
Yeah, I just want to say, per usual, thank you guys for the constant support for our channel. We greatly appreciate it. We would not be where we are today without you guys. If you guys like our content, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow us on all platforms. Playoff is winding down. You do not want to miss it. And we got you guys covered with the overview and the news. So definitely make sure you guys stay tuned. And we absolutely look forward to it.
But yeah, that's it from us. We'll see you all next week. Goodbye.